welcome everybody to the Lunacy Podcast, brought to you by Roughneck Scarves. My name is Tony. I'm here with David and Dave. Dave Stevens, David Sterling. I'm Tony Pervenanzi. We're coming today from a hotel room in Atlanta, boys.
Yeah, the American.
The American Hotel. And where?
It's just off the Centennial Olympic Park in Atlanta, about a half a mile from Mercedes-Benz Stadium.
Remind me again how we got here, because frankly, I'm in Atlanta right now. I know the Loons won against Portland a couple weeks ago. We were there, right? Were we not?
How did we get here? Oh, so you're talking about the path to the U.S. Open Cup final, which is the reason we're here.
The final, of course, is tonight against Atlanta, which is why we're here. There it is, right there.
Right.
We all took separate ways of getting here. David, what did you do to get here?
Well, I decided to drive after I was lazy and didn't book a flight immediately and then got cheap. Yes, I decided to ask my wife if I could make a week of it. Mm. And so I drove.
Nice. And you stopped at some places on the way?
Just one on the way.
Okay.
That was Jack Daniel's Distillery.
Oh, a good one, I would think.
It was a fantastic tour.
Did you get some stuff?
I did get some stuff.
I'm not like, I know you are, David, but I'm not the biggest whiskey connoisseur, but where would you put Jack Daniel's as far as American whiskeys in general? Whether you're talking about bourbons or...
so I would say that they're
one of the most iconic.
I wouldn't say they're top shelf. They're definitely they're the most popular around the world.
Yeah.
I think they might be the largest seller in the U.S. too. They actually didn't talk about that on the tour.
I'm surprised they didn't, and that's in Lynchburg, Tennessee.
Lynchburg, Tennessee, yeah, which 700 some people.
Yeah, and you said that was about just a 3-hour drive from here.
Yeah, it's not too far away. Yeah, I mean it was a fantastic tour. It was interesting to learn that the first ever master distiller of the distillery was actually a former slave.
Wow.
That whole history is crazy. Like, Jack Daniel left home at like 6. Mm-hmm. Yeah, 6 years old, and lived with this preacher who had a distillery. The slave, Nearest Green was his name, had kind of oversaw the distillery. And Jack learned everything he knew from him, and then the Civil War happened, and then Emancipation happened, and Jack opened his own distillery and hired Nearest Green as the first master distiller.
Damn.
Yeah.
A lot of history there.
Yeah, it's pretty cool. Yeah, I would recommend it to anyone, even if you're not a whiskey guy or
just for the
whiskey woman.
The history of it.
The history of it, just the cool sense that the world's most famous American whiskey comes from this town of 700 some people.
Yes.
It's pretty cool.
Well, and then, of course, on the way back, you're stopping at some other places.
Yeah, I'm hitting some bourbon distilleries in Kentucky.
So, Dave, you got here yesterday.
I did, yeah. I took the route of, because Minneapolis and Atlanta are both Delta hubs, and I'm a frequent flyer on Delta, I decided to use my miles, so it just made the most sense. But, I mean, we don't need to get into my travels too much, because it was pretty ordinary.
Because we give you shit about your travels.
Yeah, no, everything went smoothly. I got in about 3 o'clock, had enough time to run over and check out some of the sites, including the College Football Hall of Fame.
Yeah, it's right across the street here.
Yeah, and then you get a nice walk through the Centennial Olympic Park, which was nice. And we're right in the heart of downtown, just close to the Mercedes-Benz Stadium. Yep. So there's, it's really kind of, there's a lot to see, and it's a pretty picturesque, scenic area.
It's nice. I came in this morning. The boys know this, but I had a layover in Chicago, American Airlines. Unfortunately, on the way out of Minneapolis, we had an electrical problem, which almost killed the whole trip for me and about 9 other people on the flight who were going to this game tonight. One of them is Mark. How do you say Mark's last name?
Don't ask me, please. I feel very bad.
Mark F. on Twitter.
Yes.
We chatted for a while. He's actually staying at the same place we are. He went to a brewery beforehand, so. But we chatted for a while, and of course, when the delay came up on the plane, I kind of looked around, and there was some people going. Loons fans were going. We're going to make it to Chicago, so we can get on this plane to Atlanta. We did, fortunately. and I got here a couple hours ago. But man, it's weird to be in Atlanta. I will tell you that. We are drinking some Atlanta beers. At least me and Dave are.
Yeah, we should bring. No, all three of us are. Oh no.
Well, you got David's got a Youngling
Pennsylvanian beer. I believe.
Somehow on his trek down here, he got to a place that had Youngling beer. And now he's like totally into it. I don't know what happened.
Say that again, Tony.
Youngling?
Oh, I always say Yingling in my way.
Yeah, I guess I've always said it
Yingling?
Yingling.
Okay.
Yingling. Whatever you want to call it. Let's not get into it. You would rarely find that in Minnesota.
No, you don't find it in Minnesota.
Yeah, I don't even think it's distributed.
It might not be because you never see it.
You got to be on the East Coast or around this area to be Yingling. But
I've had Yingling. I'm going to say Yingling. I could be butchering it, but I've had it before and I do like it. It's certainly a nice beer. But
it's good. I had one downstairs. It's fantastic. So Dave, what you got?
Yeah, so I if anybody from Atlanta is listening to this, this would be my first foray into Atlanta micro beers. So I'm actually drinking one from Atlanta Brewing Company. That's pretty good. I like the name. It's called Hoplanta. Apparently, Atlanta Brewing Company has been around since 1993. So they're not. They might be. I wonder if they're like a Surly or a Summit that maybe have been a little more established. You know, since before the boom, I guess you'd call it. But it's called Hoplanta, and it's pleasant. There's nothing. It's an India Pale Ale, which I rarely drink, but I'm already halfway through it, and I have no complaints. Other than it's Atlanta, and
I have the Terrapin Beer Company's Hopsecutioner IPA, and it's from Athens, Georgia,
which is the home of the University of Georgia.
Yeah, which is why. Well, why do they call it the Terrapins then?
Well, and what is a terrapin?
It's a turtle.
It's a turtle.
It? Yeah.
Maryland's a terrapin.
Maryland terrapins. Yeah.
I don't understand why.
I couldn't understand that. That might have just been a random name that the brewery had chosen. But I did see what made me kind of buy that. It was the fact that it was from Athens, Georgia.
Yeah, and they put all the names of the hops on the whole outline of the beer. So we got Warrior, Chinook, Simcoe, Amarillo, Cascade, Centennial.
Good God.
So we got like 15 bajillion hops in here.
Yeah, no kidding.
And so I'm going to say is that, of course, we're from Minnesota, guys, and we've been to a lot of great breweries, okay? And I'm not going to diss Atlanta for their breweries because I don't know them.
We win.
But we win on this one. We win. No, I'm just kidding. Atlanta's great. So we should probably get into some things about soccer. This is going to be a brief podcast, everybody, because we're not going to talk about crazy stuff like we usually do.
And we only have one game to talk about.
We have one game to talk about, and then we're going to talk about a little bit about tonight's game. But we did have a game last Saturday night. No, it was 2 Saturday nights ago, wasn't it?
It was Thursday night.
Oh,
yeah.
Sorry.
So,
Thursday,
coming as we sit here, we're recording Tuesday afternoon, the evening of the U.S. Open Cup final. This game was Thursday in Kansas City at Children's Mercy Park.
Yes.
And as it turned out to be, it was a fairly, I wouldn't call it the heaviest rotation of the year, but it was fairly significant.
It was close, yeah.
It was.
I remember going into it thinking I was actually, and I wasn't the only one who thought this, I was kind of excited to see how it turned out because there was a few new names in the lineup.
But before we get into the game, guys, moving forward the rest of the year, because the West is so jumbled up with everybody. I mean, you got L.A., who's
out there, no one cares.
Way up there, nobody gives a shit about them. But everybody between 2 and 7 is jumbled up within like 5 points, I believe.
Yeah,
something like that.
I mean, not much has happened since we last recorded a podcast, other than the fact that we dropped from 2nd to 5th.
And this goes to my point of, if you don't pick up points now, especially against Western Conference foes, you will drop in the standings.
Yes,
and we have played this game before. Remember, we've had a couple games in the past couple weeks here. We've gotten a point here and a point there, and fortunately for us, everybody else has kind of lost or gotten a point, so we've been okay. But this game, really, not getting those 3 points or even a point killed us.
Yeah, and you know what? I feel like our foes in the West would agree because actually for Sporting Kansas City, you could, and the broadcasters were, it was on ESPN, they were basically calling it a must-win. They needed
3 points.
Now, I mean, Minnesota is still 8 points clear of Sporting Kansas City, but the fact is, at 34 points, Sporting Kansas City is still very much in the playoff.
They're still there.
And because it doesn't take much. You see it. You get a couple draws here and there. Kansas City, if they continue their recent I think they had won at least one or two coming into Minnesota's match, and they're heading in the right direction certainly. But yeah, it's tight as ever.
So going to this match, I didn't really know. David, you probably knew the lineup better than we did because you know lineups like the back of your hand going to these matches. Like you get that phone to Heath, and you're like, hey, what's up? What are you doing with it, right? And so going to this match, I didn't know what we were going to go with because we had this game tonight coming up.
Right.
And even though it was a longer week because we weren't playing on a Saturday or a Sunday,
right,
I still think Heath kind of went into it saying we need to rest some guys. So we didn't have...
well, I think, as you say that, I mean, I think it was kind of forced because there was a couple guys, Alonso and Angelo Rodriguez, and I think...
Molino still had his injury, too.
And so Molino. So regardless of what you say of how ready they were for that game, I don't think there was ever a good chance that they would have started that game.
I think that if we didn't have this game tonight, I think one of or two of them would have started against Casey.
Yeah, and, I think... It's always hard to tell because obviously Major League Soccer doesn't have to do their injury reports like the NFL does, for instance. They can basically just sit a guy and say that he's injured, and he might not be injured. And ultimately, my understanding was Kevin's injury wasn't really that big of a deal.
No.
And I don't think that Ozzy's injury was really that big of a deal. Mm-hmm. I agree, Tony. I think the reason that they sat was... looking ahead to this game was, we don't need to play them because, frankly, even though we were playing in Kansas City, that game should have been in the bag.
It should have been.
So I can see why he said there's absolutely no reason to play these guys. So we're going to use this as a rotation game.
Well, and that's why I think I said coming into this game, it was an intriguing game because of the rotation, because you had players like Will Moenby and Lud, starting the game for the first time. So it was quite an interesting lineup with your young guys like Gasper and Dotson. It was an intriguing lineup and a lineup that I was kind of excited to watch.
Yeah. I think I believe I tweeted out that it was a possible glimpse at 2020.
Yes.
And what they're maybe looking at in terms of players that are going to be on the pitch. Dotson was right where you'd expect him to be in the situation. And pretty much right where he belongs.
Yes.
And then, I think Wilfred was the odd man out, being a left back. He was playing on the left wing. Mm-hmm. And to me, there was some question about why Heath played him there.
I think that was more about minutes. I think it was integrated into the system and just kind of get him out there.
It was a good game to do it, And Heath had said in his post game that he had played both left back and left wing back. Mm-hmm. So he knows how to play the winger position.
Yeah.
But I agree. It was 100% about minutes. Yeah. Look, if Chase would have gone down in that game and he wouldn't be able to play tonight, then Wilfred would have been required to play tonight.
I know.
As an international,
yes, taking
up an international position.
You only have 5 of those.
And never having played a single minute. So I think that was kind of his thought was, just get him out there and in a game that we should be winning, do it.
So my thought of this game was the fact that, Heath had a choice to make, right?
Yep.
He could do, I need to win this game, or I think we can win, but I don't need to win. Okay? And so, with this match coming up tonight to win the U.S. Open Championship, which is huge for our team. I mean, this is a big thing. We'll talk about it in a little bit. Big for our team. I think Heath went with the latter. I think he went, I want to win, but I don't need to win. I will take a point, and I hope I get a point